I'm Senator Bob Huff. Thank you for joining me for my capital comment for the week of February 13th, 2012. Well, things are a little bit slow up here in the Capitol right now. Things tend to ramp up towards spring break, and then it's off and running fast and furious until the budget is done. That's the normal cycle. This year being an election year, we actually expect to see things a little bit slower. Nobody wants to make tough decisions on the budget until after the election, so don't expect to have any tough decisions made. But in the meantime, here's a fact check. Actually, we have a website called California Budget Fact Check, which tracks some of our spending. And here's what you're going to see if you go to this website. Welfare and health spending are up $3.6 billion. Education spending are down $1.1 billion, all because of a majority vote budget. That's a Democrat budget without a single Republican vote. It resulted in less money for K-12 higher education, which I would argue most people feel should be one of our highest considerations in the state budget. So why are we getting pressure on this budget? Well, first of all, they didn't make some cuts they should have. But second of all, some of the cuts were rejected by the feds. The cuts to Medi-Cal and other services created a $1 billion hole in the budget just by itself. Other cuts were not given legislative approval. Automatic trigger cuts targeted at education just don't seem fair. And you'll see playing out again this year while the governor is asking for a tax increase and has a ballot initiative to do so. If those do not get passed, then 97% of the cuts that are in these so-called trigger cuts will go to education, which is patently unfair. January tax revenues, meanwhile, are down $528 million, below forecast. That's not a good sign. Corporate tax collections, we often think the corporate tax guys ought to be shouldering more of the burden. Those are actually down $12 million, so it's not being filtered through to their profits yet. But rather than cut spending, which we ought to be doing at this time so that we can help where we already know our spending's out of control, we're waiting till the next budget year and borrowing another $865 million to get through the cash flow gap. Those are things happening up here. I want to thank you for joining me. I'm Senator Bob Huff.